I'm going to try to do a quick overview of this application that I've been using to test out various detection methods on top of the raw model results for the VPH application. This basically takes the model outputs, which are bounding boxes and segmentation masks, and applies additional logic on top of those outputs and combines them together to get a signal that hopefully will indicate operational failures. You'll see that this also helps us determine whether or not the models are performing well enough, and gives us a lot of ability to introspect what each detector is looking for. So I'm going to start here in the viewport, and you'll notice that we have a video that's loaded. There's a number of different lines and zones on it. If we go up to the layers, we can toggle those on and off. So we have a placement zone. That's this yellow line. That basically is created relative to the expected four corners of the top sheet of veneer, and it can be manually tuned in a different application. We have reference corners, which are basically the expected corners based on statistics across multiple images. We have the detected corners, which are the corners that we're detecting for this particular frame in the video. And then we have a number of other layers that we can turn on and off. I won't go through all of them, but you'll be able to see, we can see the top sheet detections here, and we have this in the per instance color mode so that we can see each one in a different color. We could also turn the robot on and off. You see that down below. And then we could also just change this so that all of the top sheets are one color and the robot's another color. This just helps us to differentiate between the different masks. I'm going to turn that off for just a second and point you to the timeline down below. So there's a couple things here. We'll actually start at the bottom, work our way up. You can add ground truth events. So you can see here that I've added a double pick annotation, and it's a little bit difficult to see right here. It's this dotted line, but I've selected a frame range and then selected the category of operational failure there. And that lets us know what to look for in this events timeline. So we'll jump up to there, and then I'll explain what's below it. But the events, you can see there's a lot of red boxes here, and based on the configuration that we have on the right side, we'll get more or fewer predicted events. And so right now there's a lot of false positives based on this particular default configuration. But you see here that there's a green box, and that's where the predicted events overlay with the ground truth events. So down below it, we have each of the individual detectors, and you can see that I can turn detectors on and off, and you can see that changes our predicted events as well as the visual representation of the detections themselves. So the offset is maybe a little bit easier to see. And then above that, we have this graph here that has the severity at any given point in time, given the overall score of the weighted metrics. So we can change the weighting on each one of those metrics. We can toggle them on and off. And in the end, we have a score that is thresholded above here in the controls that allows us to determine when the predictive signals are sent to the robotic control system. So I'm going to go ahead and just play a couple frames of this so that you can see what it looks like. You can see here that when we have a predicted event, you get this red vignette around the frame, and you can see here that we have on the right hand side an event severity that moves up and down with the overall signal here that we're predicting for that particular frame. I'm going to point out here that in the controls, part of the criteria that we're setting for thresholds is it basically based on a time series, and so we have how many frames it takes before we meet the start threshold, or how many frames need to be above the start threshold in order for it to be considered an event. We have how many frames need to be below the threshold in order to close an event, and you can see if I mouse over, this gives us the text of what these are. We can also click on the question mark. This gives us more information here. And then if we want to learn about the detectors themselves, we have definitions within this detectors panel. And then finally we have a merge gap, which allows us to merge detections that are very close together. And so these actually are pretty important for getting good scores. And so you'll see that as we tune this differently, if we turn this threshold down, now basically the whole thing is considered to be a predicted event. If we turn it back up, we can be more selective. That's sort of like the general tuning right there. But we can also tune the detectors individually as well. So the last thing that I want to describe in this video, which I think is kind of shows the whole purpose of this, is that this was a clip that had a known event in it, but it also has a number of normal picks in it, and you can see that each one of these spiking values shows a normal pick. The default values didn't fit it very well. I spent a minute or two just before recording this to try to capture something a little bit more reasonable. And so I can save these presets. I can also export them here. I can import presets that I have saved, or I can even pin them here for loading the next video so that I can maintain the same set of presets. Right now I'm going to use this last set of presets and apply those, and then you can see that now we've gotten rid of all of our false positives. We have detected a true positive in this zone right here, and we'll move a little bit forward in time just to show you what that looks like. And I think if everything aligns correctly, you should see that we have a double pick event that is captured by our system. So there's a top sheet with a lot of holes in it, and you can see that it did grab two sheets. You can see that there's the red vignette around the frame that shows we predicted a operational failure event, and after the event everything goes back to normal, and we're not generating false positives anymore. So that's it for this video. I might create a couple other videos that show some other features of this application, such as the library, how we can grab videos of events and import them, as well as some of the job queuing functionality. But that's it for now.